You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Ultimate Entrepreneur Opportunity, BrainTap, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, ChiroPro Accounting, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 248 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Alex Pankoke. And if you want to understand what a MamaPractor does and a MamaBird is and generational wellness, stay tuned. All right, so we have Alex Pankoke here with us, coming in from the Dallas area. And Luke and I are here with Chiro Hustle episode. What number, Luke?
Episode 248.
Great. And really excited to have you here today. I know you haven't been out of chiropractic school for a whole long time, but I know that it takes a lot to become a doctor. And I'm really excited to share your story with our audience today. So if you could just kind of open up the conversation with us today, like we always do on the Chiro Hustle podcast, sharing your chiropractic story and what got you into the chiropractic profession.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be on today. I want to say thank you for that first off, but my chiropractic story. So I first heard about chiropractic when I was in high school, and one of the great speakers, Dr. Dan Sullivan, his brother was my anatomy teacher in high school. And one day he just said, "Hey, we're going to have my brother come in and he's going to talk to you guys about the nervous system." And Dan came in, and I guess he was a new grad. I didn't realize it, but did his thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to do all these things. And then I went to college, went towards exercise science route. I thought I was going to become a physical therapist. I had people kind of try to talk me out of chiropractic. Then I started shadowing PTs, and I was like, I don't want to do that. That seems kind of boring to me. And then I went into a couple of different spaces, and then finally came back to realizing I was like, I know a lot of things, but I don't know a whole lot of things. And I feel like I could help people a lot better doing something at a higher capacity than personal training and corporate wellness, which was what I was in. And so we started looking around. My husband grew up receiving chiropractic care, and he said, you should really consider that again. And that's what happened. We said, okay, let's go ahead. Let's go to chiropractic school. And I applied to 3 different schools, prayed about it. And we said, wherever my husband gets a full-time job is where we're going. And so that's where we went. He got a full-time job by the end of the week, actually, of us applying to schools and jobs. And we were like, okay, God is definitely saying, go there, do this. And then within 2 tries, my husband was looking, he's like, you know what? I think I could do that too. And he started chiropractic school right behind me.
That's such a cool story that you guys are both now chiropractors.
Yes. And I had never experienced chiropractic myself until I was in college. And I had an amazing experience. I went in for some hip pain. My boyfriend at the time, my husband now, was like, you should go get adjusted. And, not only was I out of pain, I noticed a few months later that I didn't have asthma anymore. And I didn't have, I just felt better overall. I had already been eating well, exercising, doing all the right things, but I didn't realize like the whole other level of optimum function that could be there by being adjusted.
So what would you say are some things that make you unique as a chiropractor? After looking at your bio, you have some pretty interesting other areas of study. So maybe you could tell our audience a little bit more about how you practice.
Yeah, so I work in the perinatal field, but I very much specialize in working with moms postpartum after they've had their baby and helping them to recover. I had a really rough birth experience with my first son while I was in chiropractic school. And so that led me to looking into how I can better prepare my body, how I can better recover postpartum. And with my second pregnancy, I was already out and I was seeing patients, but I was exhausted and I was doing all the things and I felt like I was going to hurt myself. And so really looking into how can I take better care of myself so I can be an example of other people for other people, other women specifically, taking care of your body and honoring your physiology. And so that's what I specialize in is really helping women to understand and support their physiology and recover post-birth. So that way they don't have to have all of the stories that I hear women telling themselves, I can't do this, I can't do that, I couldn't do this ever since I had my kid, XYZ, and all the way down the list. So.
Well, it's really cool to hear that you found your niche and how you want to support people and how you want to help, moms out there in the world find their strength again and get them back to a point of stability for their families.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I know that throughout reading here, it looks like you've done quite a bit of work as an entrepreneur as well.
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us about that and how you actually were out in practice and how you realized like the epiphany moment that you had to do more?
Yeah. So I graduated and I started an associateship, and while it was a great opportunity and experience, I realized that I couldn't be the mom that I was recommending. Like I couldn't do the things that I was recommending to other moms and practice the way that I was practicing as an associate. And I was like, I can't expect people to follow my recommendations if I don't, eat my own cooking, right? So I said, and I realized in order for me to be able to do that, I was going to have to start my own thing and create my own path. And so I started my practice in a small little room inside of a collective that had another chiropractor, some massage therapists, a couple of other people. And so I just had a little room, and I created this practice that fit around my life and my schedule and my baby schedule. And I was breastfeeding. I breastfed him for 3 years. And I was pregnant for a part of that. And I realized I have to make my practice work for me, because it's not fair to me to show to my patients for me to show up exhausted and frustrated and less than, and I can't give them my all if I don't take care of myself first. And that's not fair to patients to show up like that on a consistent basis. And so I have an amazing coach, Dr. Danielle Eaton. She is a founder of Aligned Women. And so she's coached me through that over 2 years and showed me how to really design a practice that fits not just my physiology as a woman, but my family, my faith, all of the things combined.
Yeah. And, it's a challenge to be somebody that's a doctor, and that's just the truth of it all. Is people want to talk about the successes around it, but there's also the need for rest and digest. And there's a need for the season of rest. And I think that sometimes people forget to like be humble to their own message. And like you said, if you're not eating your own cooking, then how good is it?
Yeah.
And if you're out there, telling people to do it this way, but you're not actually doing that thing yourself, there's an incongruency there. So it's really humbling to hear you say, you know what, I had to get really clear with myself before I could go forward and do what I'm supposed to do as a doctor. And the doctor lifestyle is something that you also have to like, I think there's a lot of pressure to say that you're invincible and you're superwoman. And that, you can't like get a head cold, or you can't like feel like you're not strong enough. And I think that that's a cultural thing too. When it comes to being like a caregiver and a doctor, you can't ever let a patient know that things aren't right. So it's real humbling to hear you talk about your journey saying, you know what, I was a mom, I was pregnant again. Things weren't the best, but I had to like learn how to like manage my life throughout that situation and throughout that growth cycle. So congratulations for finding a coach and finding some clarity along your journey.
Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like I keep learning that lesson to a higher capacity over and over. I know with my first pregnancy, I was doing all the things, getting adjusted, and I ended up having a C-section that I didn't want. My baby was breech, even though I was getting adjusted and doing all the things. But there were other things that I now know that I could have done differently, but didn't know at the time. I was pushing myself too hard is really what it was. I was pushing myself too hard. I was in clinic. I was coaching CrossFit, and I was coaching TRX, and I was seeing patients, and I was marketing. I was on my feet 24/7. And that was a really humbling experience. And with my second child, I was like, okay, I definitely am dialing back. That's for sure. But I still realized halfway through, I was pushing myself too hard to try to meet this expectation that really isn't designed for a woman who's who's pregnant. Right. And so I found myself, I was having like a vagal response. I would adjust someone and I would feel like I was going to pass out. And I stripped all the way down to activator, and I still, like, just clicking the activator was overwhelming to my system. And, you know, I did some energy work and a lot of things there. And I just realized at like 8 months pregnant, I said, I'm done. I'm taking maternity leave early. This practice is not going to come before my family and my kids and my health. And it's really interesting because I see a lot of women who adjust up until they deliver, and then they're back in the office 1 week later. And that's what really spawned my kind of secondary mission, is to help other women in chiropractic start practices that do that support their body and support their families, not just financially, but healthfully. Well, like health and wellness, like actually do what we do as chiropractors and not just jumping back into the saddle without proper healing and rest. And like you said, rest and digest.
So what are some mantras that you live your life by, or maybe some favorite inspirational quotes that keep you fired up?
Mantras, I would say really the biggest one, I really love the 4 agreements. And so I kind of go back to that whenever I'm thinking about making decisions and trying to decide what is the right path. And so integrity, being integral with myself, is probably the biggest thing that I focus on and that I try to make sure I'm doing, because I loving service is my first technique, would be my second, probably my second biggest mantra there. Jim Parker said that. And so how can I provide loving service if I'm not in integrity with myself and in integrity with other people around me? And so that's my primary goal right there.
Yeah, it's impressive to hear, you know, the humbling steps of life. And becoming a doctor, I'm sure you realized the challenges it was to get to that, you know, that level of education. And then coming out into practice, you know, being a new mom, you had to realize what it took to like be the doctor of the present. Because I know Edison always talks about the doctor of the future, but when you actually become the doctor of the present, that is your course of life now. And sometimes that's a humbling experience when you're trying to manage, you know, relationship, family, business, and showing people once again that you're strong and nothing can faze you. And you're going to show up regardless of what it is, because you achieved that level of education. And damn it, I'm a doctor, and there's nothing going to stop me from going in and doing my job. And I think that that's also, you know, a badge of honor, but it's also something of a reality that if you're out of congruency with your energy, then you can't help anybody. And, you know, I've always said that I don't want a chiropractor to ever be adjusting me that has financial situation issues, like, you know, because their head's not into the adjustment, it's into the trouble of their finances. And I think that when somebody's clear and they're balanced out, like you are now, you get a chance to actually have reflection. You say, okay, now I can go forward, and this is my soul genius. This is my power zone. This is what I can do. This is where I find my value. But if you're not finding that strength and energy within you, you can't give it to anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really, I think that's a lesson that we see not just as doctors, but as people in general, like supporting our families, whether we're mothers, fathers, or children to our parents. How do we navigate this world without taking care of ourselves? And that's the biggest lesson that as chiropractors we're trying to teach people, right? Is to honor the temple that is your body and take care of it. And so, as we kind of talked about, you know, you got to eat your own cooking. So, and I think too, another big mantra that I focus on is progress, not perfection. Like, focus on the progress, because there's so many lessons I feel like I learn every day. I have a 3-year-old who tells me every day I don't know anything. So, understanding that there's just so much more to learn and there's so much more growth, and to be okay with the fact that you haven't made it. Nobody's made it. And I think that's where there's this kind of misconception when you come out of chiropractic school that you made it. And it's like, no, you just got started. So
how do you think the world would change if everyone started seeing a chiropractor when needed?
I think we would see a big impact, a big change in generational wellness. We talk about generational wealth, but generational wellness is so much more important to me because, and I think to the world, because somebody who is healthier, not just healthier, they're getting adjusted, they're actually able to use and have access to their full capacity of self-expression. They're able to see the world without blinders on. We talk about how pain kind of blinds you to other people's pains, but even when you're not in pain, like I said, I felt like I was doing great before I got adjusted. And then I realized like everything opened up and you have access to higher levels of yourself that you didn't realize that you had. And I think our world, a lot of the issues that we deal with, whether it's political issues or whether it's, financial issues, whatever they are, when you can actually see the world outside of yourself, it's going to make a huge difference. And if we were all getting adjusted and we all started on this path to trying to raise our frequency, man, the world would be insanely awesome.
Well, it kind of goes on to the whole saying is you either make time for health or you'll make time for sickness. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people just don't know that paradigm. They don't realize that if you don't make time for health and you don't invest in your health, then you will have to invest in your sickness later. And I love the profession of chiropractic because chiropractic teaches people that we can have healing hands and we can touch you and we can help you. And I think that that's very unique and honest when it comes to the world of doctors, because so many times it's hands off. Let me put the sterilization on over my hand before I do an exam with you. Chiropractors are like, come in here, let me do the oswestry, let me do the, whatever it is, let me do your strength testing, let me do this, and it's hands on, and it's a healing art. And I think that's the part where the human touch really could set people free. And so many times we don't even hug each other or we don't know how to embrace each other, but chiropractic is so beautiful and unique. It's a caregiving profession, and it's what could really set people free because many times people walk through their entire day and no one touches them meaningfully. Mm-hmm. And the chiropractic adjustment's a very specific thing with a lot of meaning behind it and a lot of intention into it. And if people just got that from young age to, the rest of their life, I think it could have a huge transformation on what you call generational wellness. And I really believe generational wellness would be something that would become very popular if people knew how important it was.
Yeah. And I think too, we in our culture have this kind of mindset that what we do doesn't really affect people as much as we realize, especially our family. We look at epigenetics and we look at even just mothers who carry daughters. A mother who's carrying a daughter when she's pregnant is creating the eggs for the next generation. She's carrying her granddaughter and grandchildren at the same time. And so as a mom, that's a big responsibility to take on and understand that you are affecting not just your kids and the choices that you make, you're directly affecting your grandchildren if you're carrying a daughter. But we even see epigenetically the changes that happen when people start making positive or negative, but positive changes to their system and how it affects down the road. And so I think we also have to realize it's more of a responsibility than we think to just take care of our own health and wellness.
So where do you see chiropractic finding itself in the next 20 years or so?
I see chiropractic really having the opportunity to step into people's lives in a whole different way. I think especially with the pandemic and everything that's gone on, I've noticed that because we now have more space and time, or at least I've created more space and time. I had always seen patients in 15 to 20 minute intervals. Now it's 20 to 30 minute intervals because people aren't having the in-person interactions that we used to have. I have deeper interactions each time I work with a patient. It's not just about the primary level of, are you out of pain? Are you feeling better? Is your, how's your pregnancy going? It's how is it affecting you as a person? The secondary level, how is you being changed as a person affecting your family? And how is that affecting the world around us in general? And so I think as a profession, we have the ability, and I would even dare to say the responsibility, to step up and realize that we have a huge impact. And we could be impressive all day long. I think our allopathic buddies are impressive, but are they impactful? I don't know. I don't know how impactful some of the modalities are out there to people's lives. But as a profession, as chiropractors, we can definitely be impactful. That's for sure.
Well, listening to what you have to share, it's very honest. And I really think, as you mentioned, the profession has a huge responsibility, but the people need to understand what that responsibility is, and they need to understand what's possible. And people, like you said, it's about, are people just feeling better? And is that what it's really about? Or is it about the body healing better? And when we have those considerations out there, is the body better off when it's feeling better? I would agree. But what about when it's healing better? And you're talking about this generational seed that's inside of the woman when she's like actually at that carrying stage. That's in a part that most people never think about, that spiral effect of that generational wellness, of how healthy are you when you actually carry that child, and how healthy can we make that pregnancy, and how healthy can we make that child? And there's a lot of responsibility there. And that part, I mean, 12 years ago, I started doing chiropractic spinal screenings, and I would go out to this like local fair in Arlington Heights, Illinois. And the doctor that I was working with at the time was a young doc. He just got out of school, but I went out there with his cousin, and I told people, we adjust babies. And she goes, "You can't tell people you do that."
Yeah.
She goes, "That scares people." And I go, "Well, the truth is we adjust babies. I see them come through our clinic. So who are you to tell me that I can't go out there and tell people that we adjust babies?" I was like, "Dr. Mike can turn babies. Like this guy's amazing." And, I just think that a lot of times people just don't know that chiropractic helps with pregnancies. It helps with babies. It helps with so many development things. And it helps with a healthier culture. And people don't really understand that.
Yeah. And it's our responsibility to share. I think, what is it? We see maybe 10% of the population. And I think part of the reason is that, not that we're not trying to get out there and share. I don't think that's not the case. I think a lot of chiropractors are doing everything they can to share the story and share the message, but sharing the same message is important. Making sure that they're working together and coming together despite what we may have different values and different ways of practicing. Working together to share that message is going to be so vital and so crucial to reach more people, because right now, at 10%, we've stayed at 10% for such a long time. We're really just recycling families and recycling patients. A lot of the times, a lot of my patients come in and they've been to another chiropractor before, but the ones who haven't, a lot of times they've never heard the story. They've never heard about chiropractic. And you start telling them, I'm like, that makes so much sense. Why hasn't anybody ever told me that before? And so we have a responsibility to change the culture, to change the message. And I think while it's great to meet people one-on-one, we have to, and I don't know the answer to this, but figure out a way to allow the masses to see a change. I think that's starting by being the example. Being the example of whatever it is that you talk about. And so I work with pregnant moms all the time. My husband is a super supportive dad. We talk about making sure that we're healing and rested and taking care of ourselves. So for him, sometimes that looks like he doesn't have the capacity to see as many people as he wants to see and still be the dad he wants to be and still take care of himself and still do all of those things. And so We make sure to set systems in place that support us, so that way when our patients do come in, they don't see us drained and exhausted, because who wants to, listen to you and you don't know, it sounds like you don't know what you're doing, right? And at the same time, you still have to be humble. You have to say, my kid was up all night last night and I'm tired, but that's not the norm, right? They see that I can function at a high capacity, even if I didn't get a ton of sleep the night before, because I'm still doing all the other things to take care of my body and my system. And to demonstrate that, I think, is so important.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Ultimate Entrepreneur Opportunity, BrainTap, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, ChiroPro Accounting, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
So who have been some of your heroes throughout your life? Who have been some of your inspirations? Like, who have you always wanted to maybe aspire to be like?
I would say the first person would be one of my aunts. I don't know why, but I go back in my head, I'm like, what would she do whenever I have a question or I'm not sure about something? And to be honest, the thing that I see in her the most is that she just is who she is, and she's not apologetic for it. She was the mom who was like the crunchy, quote unquote, crunchy mom before it was cool. And she was like, I'm making these choices for my family. And if you don't like it, then too bad. Like, go over there and worry about your own problems. Like, she just is who she is. And so she's definitely been a big inspiration for me in that capacity. Other inspiring people to me there's a lot of inspiring women out there to me. I would say Kate Northrup is a big one. I read her books all the time. She talks about honoring femininity. Honestly, I'd have to say my coach. Before I even was working with her, I was listening to her podcast for a year and a half, and I was like, man, it would be so great to get to meet her. And now I'm talking to her every single week, which I think is really cool. So off the top of my head, I would say the first one is definitely my aunt, though, and really anybody who demonstrates like the rebellious attitude of like, this is me and I'm okay with me and I'm okay with how I was designed, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just going to be here the way I'm supposed to be and do the job that I'm supposed to do while I'm here, regardless of if there's haters.
Well, if you could pick anyone from history to sit and have dinner with, who would you pick?
Oh, that's a really hard question. I looked at this one early in your list of questions. I was like, I don't know. There's too many choices. It's going to sound really cliche, but I would say Martin Luther King Jr. And not for probably the same reasons that a lot of people would, but I just learning more about him. He was like a not very liked guy at the time. Even people around him were kind of like, he's not like the most pleasant person to be around. And I would love to just learn more about his perspective and just the audacity that he had and the ability to still be compassionate and kind and be audacious too.
Yeah, it's powerful because people that have big visions are probably not the easiest people to be around.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to stay on a consistent, like, ooh, like me type status. But the people that are out there actually making change are probably, they're making a lot of waves around them to where it makes their personal life a little challenging. And being able to actually be around them and have them have like a regular quality of life is probably not so regular either. So I've never really thought about it that way, that people that are actually like innovators and like, crusaders, what type of burden they carry when it comes to their personal traits and how they show up and how they are to be around. So I'm sure that would be a fascinating opportunity to spend some time with him and just to get his perspective on like a day to day, like how is it? How are your haters? You know?
Yeah. Before, yeah, and it's like that's before we had Twitter and Facebook, and I was gonna say MySpace. I don't know if that still exists. But Clubhouse, like all of the new right now, it's like so in your face. I would be interesting to know like what I don't really know anything different because I grew up with social media. Like Facebook was around when I started college, so I don't really know. I can't remember what it's like without social media, without being able to like get that instant, ooh, they like me or they don't response.
Yeah, I'm sure it has a lot to do with what you talked about earlier, this generational wellness. Well, also, I think it counterbalances with this generational distraction.
Mhm.
And we're more distracted than ever before. Like we all have so many things that are vying for our attention constantly, whether it's a text message, a notification, and it's like, how do we actually like go back to the basics and just go to the grocery store? How do we have time for that stuff? Because we're all running around with earbuds on and, trying to like, send a tweet or whatever people do. And gosh, how many DMs do I have on my Instagram account today? And when's the next thing we're supposed to be doing? When's the Zoom call? Like we are being stretched like never before too. So you came into that generation of the Facebook groups and the Facebook like platform. And I mean, I didn't jump on until 7 years ago. So there's a lot to be said about like historical figures. If we had every historical figure being able to like be on social media, where would we be today?
Yeah, that's so true. And I wonder, I feel like there are definitely things that we can do. We just have to be very intentional about not allowing ourselves to be distracted. And I tell my patients this all the time. Because I have a smaller practice and I see people in 30-minute intervals, my amount of patients is small. Like I said, if I want to give my everything to everyone, my everyone can't be huge. But you never know how far reaching that one little thing that you did to that one person can be, as Dee Dee said. And so but I tell my patients, I have an emergency line. I'm like, if there's ever an emergency, I will have my phone and I will answer it. But if you text me, my patients have my business line. They can text me. If I don't answer, I'm probably with my family and my kids. And I don't like when I'm off, and my phone, I don't know where it is. It's set on ring. If there's an emergency, if a midwife needs to call me, I go to a lot of births. Like that ring will come through. If it's not an emergency though, I probably won't answer. And it's not that I don't want to reach out to you. It's not that I don't want to hear from you and know how things are going. It's just I have to take care of myself so I can show up to take care of you in our visits. So
if not, we're just over distracted and we just don't have focus on our present time. And we're always searching for like that next notification.
Yeah, that dopamine hit that we get with those notifications. I have a little in my affirmations for a while because I was trying to break my Facebook habit. I put one of my affirmations is I'm not an addict. Substance abuse is something that runs in my family, unfortunately, and it's the same thing. It's a dopamine hit when you get a Facebook notification. And so I had to say, I don't want to be addicted to my phone. And I had to say that over and over again. I'm not an addict. I'm not an addict. I'm not an addict, even though people wouldn't consider that potentially like something that you would need rehab or call yourself an addict for. But that was the only thing I think that really made it set in my brain that I don't need to check my phone every 5 minutes and that the Facebook notifications will be there when I'm ready to see Facebook. And I have time blocks on when I go on Facebook, and when I'm done, I'm done. And every now and then I get stuck in that scroll hole, but I don't want to be there that long. That's not a great use of anybody's time or energy. So
I absolutely love your honesty.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So maybe you could share with us, how do you market yourself? What kind of marketing do you like? And maybe give us something that did not work when you tried it and maybe what you learned from it.
I think one thing that I feel I've done a lot of different marketing tactics in the past 2.5 years. And I think every single thing works. I think you just have to figure out what works best for you. I personally don't like spinal screenings. It is not my favorite thing to do. And it's mostly because it's time away from my family that I often don't, I just don't want to be there. It's not that I don't want to reach out to people. It's usually on a Saturday. It's it's during time that I really would rather be with my family. So it's not my favorite thing to do, but the way that I'm marketing myself right now is I do a lot of Instagram, a lot of organic Instagram reach. I also really focus primarily right now on relationship marketing. So understanding and knowing what the different birth professions are and getting to know those professionals in my space. So I work with a lot of doulas. I work with a lot of midwives. I network with them in person, as well as over webcam, and just showing up to their events and showing appreciation to them and what they do, because especially doulas, I think doulas are kind of like the underdog of the birth world. Sometimes it's they don't really get as much praise for how amazing they are. They make everybody else look good. And so I do like to reach out and let doulas know how much I appreciate them. And a lot of times that's where I get a lot of referrals from is the doulas in my community. And then I'm also experimenting again with some Facebook ads, learning some different ad strategies, but really focusing on marketing to people's pain points rather than their pain, and marketing to like the deeper levels of why they want change. Not just like, I don't want to be in back pain, or I don't want to do this, or I just want to feel better, but like, how is it going to transform you? So marketing is just sharing what you do, but sharing with people the transformation that they can see at a much deeper level, and the impact of chiropractic care. And I've found when I've done that, a lot of times people don't realize I'm talking about chiropractic. They're like, wait, you're a chiropractor? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, we would thought you were this, that, or the other, because I don't really ever talk about the spine until we get into an encounter, a patient encounter. That's the mechanism, but that's not the goal. The goal is to see you changed and transformed. So.
Well, it's cool to hear, how you've been able to build your career within your paradigm of time blocking and family time, career time, media time. I think that a lot of people, that's their hardest challenge with becoming a professional, is how do I give time to the things that matter and not lose myself in the process? And so many times, being the mom, you'll put yourself last. Being the caregiver, you have to put yourself first. So the paradigm of putting yourself last to putting yourself first in the same body within the same, time, that time of life, you have to really work on yourself. And I think that personal development is something that every chiropractor, we ask them, what's your favorite type of books read? Oh, I'm like eating up personal development books. Yeah. And, I listen to this personal development podcast, or I, go to this seminar for this. And, it's always, what can I do to like keep the act sharp? And I think a lot of chiropractors specifically are always wanting to learn more, or their state tells them they have to have so many continuing education credits in order to keep practicing. So there's a lot of personal development, but I think the part that people are really distant from talking about is what is real life around time blocking and knowing what your limitations are and being honest with yourself. And that's why I think a lot of chiros really struggle in the first 5 years, because they try to be everything for everyone, including themselves. And sometimes they take their eye off the ball when it comes to business. Sometimes they take their eye off the ball when it comes to fitness. Sometimes they take their eye off the ball when it comes to relationships. And before they know it, they have extra cleanup to do because they were trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think it's that like mentality of like, you're a doctor now, you should have all, like, I feel like at least I had the expectation that when I graduated, I would have my shit together, for lack of a better term, but I didn't. That's for sure. And I feel like it seems like it's this like culmination, like this, it's this point that where you're supposed to like I said, like you've made it, and it's really just the beginning. And I've invested, and I have seen so many other people, and I learned this from example. I think that's, the biggest lesson here is we have to teach people from example. I've learned from example from other successful chiropractors that you invest in yourself, and you invest in not just, your education as far as how to become a chiropractor, but invest in yourself as a person, personal development, courses like that. Sometimes I say I'm a course junkie. I've spent enough to have a bachelor's degree in business courses to have an MBA in business courses outside of an actual MBA program. But it's made a huge difference. And the beautiful thing is I feel like having had the opportunity to see other people do that and see what are the different paths to learn how to do things has given me the opportunity to then make that investment back in such a short period of time, which I think a lot of chiropractors are really worried and frustrated about, is how do I make my investment back on chiropractic school? And I mean, it's a lot of money to become a chiropractor, and a lot of us want to make that investment back. So sometimes, though, we have to invest in even more education and knowledge to get to that point. I think before we went live, I talked to you about how I thought by becoming a chiropractor, once I had that doctor before my name, I was going to have this huge paycheck when I started. And I just had this like crazy expectation that going from corporate America and into chiropractic school, I was going to make a big difference in it. And when I became an associate, that was not the case. Actually, it was the opposite. And so one of the big lesson that I've learned in owning my own business is really valuing the transformation and valuing what I have to offer to people, and in that charging what that is worth. And so I think there's a lot of money issues floating around in chiropractic, at least the school I went to, and in the circles I was in and am still in. There's a lot of money issues around the value of what care is. And when you think about it, it's not just the adjustment that you're providing a transformation, or the opportunity for them to have that transformation. And what that has done then is, like I said, I left the corporate world and I was a personal trainer. And one of the biggest things that I noticed when I graduated was I was making more as a personal trainer before I became a chiropractor than I was as a chiropractor. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I knew like nothing as a personal trainer compared to what I know now. And I like the effect, or the effect and the ability to create or to catalyze transformation in somebody's life as a personal trainer is the small fraction to that as a chiropractor. And so I was very frustrated, realizing like I couldn't pay for the things that, like, I couldn't pay all my bills. I couldn't take my kid to the places I wanted to take him. I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do and stay where I was at. And then I needed to adopt a new understanding of what chiropractic care is, as far as the value of that care and the value of that transformation. And so that's also been a big change for me as well. And I had a coach who asked me this once, and I was struggling with raising my prices from just a little bit above what everybody else was charging. And I was struggling with that. And he said, Alex, when you charge this much, how do you feel at the end of the day? And I said, and when you make this much, how do you feel? I was like, I mean, I'm appreciative that I had the opportunity, but I don't feel great. And he's like, so how do you show up the next day if you don't feel great about, like, if you feel undervalued? I was like, I guess I can't show up as my full self. And he said, well, how dare you show up to work and not feel like your full self? How dare you take the choice away from your patients to have the full version of you? And so I was like, oh crap, like, I can't do that. That's not fair. And he's like, you're taking the choice out of their hands by not giving them the choice to purchase all you have to offer, like to invest in all you have to offer as far as the care that you can deliver. And so that's also been a big change in how I've operated from when I first opened my practice to now. Is my fee is my fee is my fee. And my fee is something that I feel comfortable. And it may not be what everybody else is comfortable with, but I've had to work at getting there. And really, it makes me appreciate chiropractic more. It makes me appreciate the transformation more. And so do the patients at the end of the day.
Well, you have a concierge style gift, and you're not a high volume practice. You're a mindful volume practice. And when you work in that type of paradigm, you have to earn appropriate to the care you provide. And I think that that's a hard thing for people to understand when you have conglomerates out there that are charging a few fistful of dollars for an adjustment. And when you think about the actual life-changing care of chiropractic, you have to bill it appropriate, and you will attract your ideal target audience, and you will attract the people that trust you as their caregiver, and the ones that don't, they won't stick around, and you don't want them to stick around. Frankly, you want them to go where they get what they want. And that's the thing about building relationships within a practice model is you will be the go-to for your concierge style practice, and people will keep referring to you, and you'll have the fee schedule that you feel appropriate, and your business will grow. And you won't attract the people that are just in there for pain game, and you won't find the people coming to see you that just want the quick crack, and you're going to find a group of people that are actually wanting to build a relationship with you as a care provider and as somebody that can nurture their family with care. And I think that if you just kind of understand that and ruminate with that, you'll have the best practice that you ever want to, and it will fit right into the life that you've designed.
Yeah. And I think too, like one of the things that has allowed me to do is actually create a program that I'm launching next month that subsidizes care for women who can't afford the prices, the fees that I have. And so there's a women's health organization here in Dallas who provides free care or subsidizes care to other offices, whether it's a OB, midwife, doula, chiropractor, to women who really do need the help. And I also realized that by being in the middle and being frustrated, I wasn't really helping anybody. In Dallas, there's a chiropractor on every single corner. So by being in the middle and not making enough to feel comfortable with myself and not valuing myself and not doing any of that, I couldn't get over the hump of the finances that I needed to be at to make it work with my family. But I wasn't really helping the people who really needed the help because they still couldn't afford my fees. Like I was right in the middle. And so by going up and finding the right sweet spot for myself, I was also able to put into my business plan an ability to donate to nonprofits that allow people to receive chiropractic care at a level, at a price that works for them, which could be nothing at all. And I think we need more chiropractors out there who just love to serve and want to work in nonprofit organizations. And I think that there's not enough of us on both sides of that coin. And so I want to support those companies, or not companies, but those nonprofit organizations that do that support chiropractic care, and to people, and offer it to people who can't really get it. And I think there's groups out there that say there's affordable care, but then it's marketed to areas where people probably could spend a little bit more, and not to the areas where there's nothing available to them. So trying to bridge that gap. We talk about like food deserts when it comes to grocery stores. There's chiropractic deserts too. There's places where in Dallas, there's a chiropractor on every single corner in Dallas, and you go to one corner of Dallas, one section of Dallas, and you can't find a dentist, a doctor, a chiropractor, nothing. And a lot of those people don't have transportation. They don't have the ability to drive to a chiropractor. And if they do, now I've got to wait for the bus, and they've got to do, like, it's a lot of work for them to get adjusted. And so, I want to change it. I think that's one of our responsibilities. We want to see the world change from our profession. We got to make sure that it's accessible to people. That doesn't necessarily mean don't charge anything. That means support the people who want to do that.
Well, we're just about at the edge of our time, but before we close out, maybe you could let us know, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do for fun when you're not saving lives? And also, what are some websites where people can visit you?
Yeah, so I would say one of my hobbies, honestly, is I love business. I'm starting to become so passionate about business and learning more about business. And so I guess learning would be one of my main hobbies. I like to rock climb, although I haven't done it in a while. I'm a little like, I need my hands. Something happens, I can't do a job. So, but I do enjoy rock climbing and just getting out and spending time with my family. But yeah, if people want to get a hold of me or find out more about me, I have an Instagram handle. It's at Dr. MamaBird. I also, is it okay? Can I share my course on here?
Sure.
I do have a course for chiropractors who are starting up, who are wanting to learn how to open a small concierge style practice that allows you to make a consistent $8K a month, while working part-time or working low volume, whatever that means to you, and allows you to live that lifestyle that allows you to be the chiropractor, the doctor, and be the mom, or be the person that you are saying that you want your clients to be, right? To have have the ability to do those things as well. And so the course is called Practice the Remix. And you can find more information about it if you just go to my Instagram and you click my campsite bio there. There's more information there for the course as well.
That's really cool that you're teaching and helping and facilitating, and you're walking the walk and talking the talk. So it's really cool to have you on our show today.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm so grateful that I was able to connect with you via Clubhouse, and I'm so appreciative for the opportunity to be on here and to share what I do.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are going to glean from your position within the chiropractic profession, and I'm looking forward to seeing you continuously develop as the businesswoman that you want to be, the mom that you want to be, and most definitely the chiropractor that you want to be.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being our guest today, and we just want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
You too. Enjoy your adjustments, guys.
All right, Bill. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.